All right, let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Core X Replay Podcast, y'all. First ever episode 0, maybe episode 1 if we do well. But I'm your host, Z Saber, and I'm here with Shinizaki, host of the future DNA the podcast. What's
Yes,
up?
sir. Yes, sir. Shinizaki, we back. We back. We are live right now. Host of the DNA podcast, dedicated network for advanced technology analysis. We talk about the Steam Deck, the Legion Go, anything handheld wise. So if you want to check it out, come hit me up at Shinizaki YouTube. DNA the podcast coming up soon. We're going to talk about the Legion Go 2, everything that we know about it so far. So,
That's what's up.
I'm a guest
Fire.
right now on the Core X Replay podcast, Z Saber.
Right.
And we about to get it cracking, so let's make it poppin'.
Nintendo Switch 2, I should say, was just announced. Everybody's going crazy over it on both sides.
Yes, sir.
We see what's going on with it. We don't know what's going on with it. The Direct is coming up, and we ready to talk about this trailer, what we heard, what we seen, and just what we think about it, because we got the ROG Ally, we got the Legion Go 2, we got the MSI Claw, we got all of these like Windows-based handhelds that's out here, and Nintendo coming out with something new. And so how is this all gonna measure up? What's gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? So let's buckle up, grab your snacks. You know, we're gonna power up this discussion and we're gonna get into it. So we got a lot to cover too. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this trailer, it starts off. Let me pull it up so I can see it. So it starts off with showing the original Switch. And when we see it, it starts expanding, starts updating, and right away we notice some differences when it comes to what we have to look forward to with the new one. The first thing that popped up to me right away was a double Type C USB ports. Now, right away, I'm thinking this is great, because if you had the original Switch, there's only one of these boys. And when you got this in tabletop mode with the kickstand, this is the OLED, by the way.
Yes, sir.
There's an issue. You can't charge it while it's in tabletop. So you got to either hold it in your hands and deal with it, or lay it flat and be in an awkward position with the Joy-Cons off, trying to, play your game. So that's a great addition. And I can only imagine what accessories is going to come out, what peripherals is going to come out straight from Nintendo themselves, and wherever else. And we're going to get into it when it comes to these Joy-Cons too. But you got to upgrade it. Heatsink exhaust on the top. And let's see what else. The kickstand is pretty much almost identical to the OLED. It has a very beefy hinge that's very strong and durable. And so you can almost lay it completely on its side. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
So it's big upgrade to the original Switch, where it was just that little bitty tab. Right when I saw that with the original trailer, I was like, there's no way that this is going to be able to hold up the Switch, like the original Switch. And it worked for a little bit, but it was breaking. A lot of people's kickstands was breaking. So they upgraded it with the OLED. And we see that they're keeping that design here.
Mm-hmm.
And let's pull up some of the specs real quick, because right now we're expecting this screen to be around 8 inches, which in comparison to the what was that, the Nitro?
Yep, Acer
The
Nitro.
Nitro, Acer Nitro
Well, the Acer
is,
Nitro is definitely 8 inches. The Legion Go S is 8 inches,
yep,
and the Legion Go is 8.8. So right now, the Legion Go has the biggest screen because the Nintendo Switch 2 is rumored to be 7.8 inches, so just shy of 8 inches.
right, right. So in comparison to the original Switch, if we're thinking about the OLED, there's 8 gigabytes more RAM memory, which brings it out to 12 gigabytes versus 4 gigabytes. This is a huge, huge jump in the latest Nintendo Switch. 239 megahertz faster GPU, 75.8 gigabytes higher memory bandwidth. The Wi-Fi version is rumored to be Wi-Fi 6, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's rumored to have 129 gigabytes more internal storage. Higher resolution. Now, I'm hoping that it's 1080p.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard some people say 1440p and 4K and all this. Well, even the 720p screen
Yeah.
with the OLED display is immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that I would rather have the OLED versus the higher resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking about Nintendo too, you got to think like Nintendo's way of developing games is not is AAA in their own way. And so we can expect that the graphics is not going to be that big of a jump, especially in comparison to the Sony's PS5 and Xbox Series. You know, it's always going to be a generation behind.
Yeah.
And so we can temper our expectations regarding that. Now, I've heard people talk about ray tracing. I don't think that's going to happen because that's going to severely tank the performance. And
There-
we already need our games to be at 60 frames.
There's not going to be
So,
no ray tracing on the handheld that small. It
no
makes
way.
no sense right now. You can't even
So,
see it.
yep, yep. So, we got a lot to look forward to. And going to the Joy-Cons, when we look at the Joy-Cons, the original ones, they got this small SL and
Mm-hmm.
SR buttons for the shoulder buttons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're greatly improved. They're longer, and I'm seeing that they're also magnetic,
Mm-hmm.
which when you connect it to the railing, it's actually going to connect with those buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is this button that you use to release, that's going to be the button to push the Joy-Cons off. So I thought that was interesting. And what happens is that if you're holding it and maybe you holding it on the side like this, I was a little worried thinking about, well, maybe it's going to slide off or maybe it's going to pop off. But this mechanism for the lock is supposedly secure, and it's also going to have that cartridge piece
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be in the middle that's also going to lock. And
Now,
it's
not
set up to where you can go only one way.
right.
Cuz a lot of people like kids, they try to put the Joy-Cons on the wrong side and everything like that. But
Yo, so I say this though. They actually have reports that just came out today, maybe yesterday, talking about that people are worried about that little cartridge breaking on the inside of the Joy-Con, and
absolutely.
now you're not going to be able to use the Joy-Con. So we got to see the integrity of the device, because if they're already
Absolutely.
speculating that that's cheap, I mean, come on now, $399. I mean, the build quality ain't gonna be a tank now. Come on, they got to cut corners somewhere.
Yeah, and you put this in the hand of a child, they're going to figure out how to break it
Oh yeah,
without question. I
oh yeah.
mean, you put enough pressure on this alone, it's going to snap off.
Well, and that's part of the R&D process is that they look at the durability of the device upon bringing it out to the market. Is they purposely snap stuff. They see how much force it takes to break this or that. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
let's hope that they've got that all figured out. Prior to releasing it. which is speculated
Exactly.
in June if they're gonna go by their history of releasing products.
Hey, the sooner the better.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
needed this years ago,
but
like
that
not too long before or after the original Switch came out. We needed this because the original Switch was already old when it came out.
hmm
The architecture and the CPU, the GPU, everything.
The thing that makes me worried though is that if they come out in June, I mean, that's about the time that they're talking about the Legion Go 2 coming out. So, it's a lot of stuff coming out in June, bro, as far as handhelds. I mean, we're talking about the Acer Nitro. That's going to be out around the time. The Switch 2 is going to be out around the time, and the Legion Go 2. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, they'd be smart to bring it out in May, because right after the Direct, everybody's going to be ready and charged up to buy it. But if
That's
they
true.
gotta wait an additional 2 more months, especially if there's reports that they got 20 million consoles ready to go right off the first year, I mean, we should be able to see that stuff in Target, Walmart, Best Buy, everywhere without waiting because of scalpers type stuff.
Hmm.
We should be able to see that stuff everywhere right off the bat.
We should. They would be smart to do that because at the end of the day, I think what's going to be the ending factor with all this is the price.
Yeah.
Now, the Nitro, it starts off at $800. So
Yeah.
if you're looking at 800, you're looking at 1,000, you're looking at 1,100. I mean, the average person is not going to spend that much money on a handheld. Now, you got to be a diehard, like heavy, like you want the latest and greatest right in the palm of your hands, and you don't care about that, you getting it. But I see the mass majority of people really leaning toward the Switch, especially if it's no more than $400.
Yeah. I will say, of course, I have to agree to that. The thing about the Steam Deck being 399 and the Switch being 399 is that one, people are more familiar with Nintendo, and two, Valve limited their sales by pretty much gatekeeping their Steam Decks. They're not available in Best Buy. You can't just go and say, "Hey, can I buy a Steam Deck?" Because you have to get it from Valve. And so that I believe is hindering their sales because the PC gaming really, really started to take off during the pandemic. That's when everybody wanted to get into video games in 2020. Everybody want to be a gamer. Everybody want to stream. Everybody want to do this and that. So Steam Deck coming out, you already knew what was up with gaming because PC gaming took off harder during that time because nobody could do anything but play video games. Think about Animal Crossing for the Switch and stuff. It just became more popular because we were forced to stay home.
Man.
So the people who would go into Best Buy, Walmart, Target, or whatever to buy a Steam Deck is people who just got into gaming, just got put on with it, but those sales were pretty much like X'd out because they only could get it through Valve. And if you don't have a Steam account, you're not even gonna know. Like, you're gonna look up Steam Deck on Google and be like, where to buy, and then you're gonna be like, Steam, huh? Like, I don't even know how to do all this, so I'm just not even gonna buy it. I'm just gonna get a Switch. And I believe that's what a lot of people did. They
Hmm.
heard about it and they was like, you know what? I don't know how to buy it, so I'm just gonna get a Switch. A Switch. Now, the other thing to add to that is they told you couldn't buy the Steam Deck unless you had made a purchase on your Steam account 72 hours or whatever
Mm.
prior to
I remember
making it
that.
at. So
I
that
remember that.
also killed the sales of the Steam Deck.
Yep.
So I feel like at that price, it was competitive, but all of the loops and hoops to going around buying it is what kind of caused it to not sell as good as it potentially could have. Now, Nintendo, it's like, it's going to be everywhere. You're going to get on
Hmm.
Nintendo.com. You're going to get it on Rakuten. You're going to get it on Amazon. You're going to get it on
What?
whatever, all,
Bro,
all these different websites, stuff you ain't even heard of. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get it on all these websites, and
I
that's
don't
going to
know,
help
bro.
it
You gonna get some
sell.
third party. You gonna get some
Hey,
knockoff, some
you're going
Alibaba
to get
type of
the 3D
switch.
printout switch. That's what you're going to get. For real. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the Switch is going to sell more just based upon availability, bro. You know what I mean? Now, if we want to talk about Steam Decks going into Best Buy, the closest thing to that will be this Legion Go S with the Steam OS on it. That's going to be the closest thing to you getting a Steam Deck out of Best Buy. But, you know, the thing that I'm, kind of like, okay, why would I get the Legion Go S over the Steam Deck? And there's only one reason why, is because of the screen. And the performance is, I believe, the Go chip that's in there. They call it the AMD whatever Go chip.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 6-core processor, so the performance is going to be pretty much neck and neck with a Steam Deck anyway. So
Man.
it might be a little bit better, but it's like the only reason why I would get that over the Steam Deck is because I can go in a store and buy it, and I get a bigger screen. Otherwise, you're literally just buying a Steam Deck. So
Now, what's the specs on that screen itself? Is it a LCD screen or is it a?
definitely an LCD screen. It is not OLED. So IPS, IPS. So,
Okay.
and I believe that they're running a 1200 by 1920 by 1200 or something is what it is. So it's a little bit better than 1080p, like 1900 by 1200 or something. The
Yeah, because the
specs of
Steam
it.
Deck is what's the resolution on that one?
That's a good question. It's 800p. Yeah, it's 800p.
That's
That's
what
what
I
it is.
thought.
Yeah, 800. So it's a low resolution, but so
It's not fully 1080.
yeah. Let me just check my sources. So the Legion Go S, it's got a 8-inch 1920 by 1200 LCD display running at 120 hertz refresh rate. And it has VRR, so it has variable refresh rate support, which is something that we don't have on the original Legion Go. Those are specs that we need to find out if they're going to have on the Nintendo Switch. If it's going to have VRR and if it's going to have a high refresh rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, Now, why would I buy this Legion Go S over the Steam Deck? Because I get a better screen, I get it 8 inches, and it's running at 120 hertz with VRR rather than a 90 hertz screen that's 800p on the Steam Deck. So I'm guessing that this Legion Go, the Go chip that's in here, is a little bit better than the Steam Deck in order to help push those pixels and the frame rate as well as the VRR support. So you are getting a little bit better version of a Steam Deck, but if you want to do brand loyalty, I ain't mad at you either because the Steam Deck mad comfortable, bruh. And you buying
I
it,
mean,
it's hey. So
it has the benefit of being out longer than what's coming up.
that's true.
So it has that brand recognition and not that foothold in that sense.
Yeah, because what happens on paper is different to what happens in the wild. They could have did all this engineering and working together, and then when they get out in the wild, people find all kind of bugs and other weird stuff with it. You know what I'm saying? We already know
Mm-hmm.
the Steam Deck, it ain't got no bugs, and that's mainly because of the Steam OS, and it's built from the ground up from their headquarters. From Valve. This is their product. Of course, they're gonna make sure it's nothing wrong with it. It's like taking your car to the dealership of the brand that the car is. You're not gonna take your BMW to a Ford dealership. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Uh, what's coming up with these handhelds because it's getting real hot, man. And
hmm
I'm hearing word that all the companies are pretty much pivoting to the handheld market.
definitely, definitely. So
Because
you
no,
wanna you wanna
how
talk
many
about
people
that?
actually have times to sit on the couch with the controller in your hand before the baby start crying, before you got to cook, before you got to get ready for work? You know, nobody has that much time anymore. Growing up, we had that, but now it's like we're on the go. We're sitting in the car more than we sitting on the couch.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's truly it's the way to go. Now, if you want to dive into that, we could dive into that because I got a lot of stuff to say. I got a lot of stuff to say.
Okay.
My first
Yeah. Well,
thing,
let's. Oh,
go
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 ahead.
ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I was just gonna go back to this switch and just breaking down this trailer
Yeah, we can break that down before we go
because
into this the state of handhelds. Let's do that.
what's fascinating me the most about this is the Joy Cons themselves because these right here, they weren't comfortable. It wasn't cutting it. Even had issues connecting to to the console itself, and I really think they improved this a lot. There were some photos that came out with the motherboard and the internals and everything, and you could see the magnets that's in there holding the Joy-Con in place, and then also what's going to connect to the console itself, the railing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what's interesting is that in this trailer, they showed the sticks swerving, and I wonder if that's them hinting that, oh, we got better sticks now.
Yeah.
It's not going to drift.
Now they're not Hall effects sticks. Not that I'm. Let me just double check my sources. Let's see. Does the Switch 2 have Hall effects sticks? Okay, so right now they are reportedly incorporating Hall effect analog sticks. This would make sense to the
Mm,
now this is coming from Game Rant, okay? So this would make sense. This would make the controllers immune to stick drift, one of the most prevalent issues with the original Switch Joy-Cons. So
yep,
more details about this is going to be revealed April the 2nd on what they used for those Joy-Cons. Okay?
yep.
Now, they definitely had to emphasize that because that was a big deal with the Switch. Okay? My Joy-Cons currently have stick drift as we speak. So,
Pretty much half of mine's have it.
and it's just that's a flop. That's a flop. No console is immune to, you know, things that would break down. That's what I mean. Like when stuff come out to the wild, then stuff start coming out the woodwork. So, going back to the Legion Go S, we got to see how that run on that. With the VRR and the up specs and the benchmarks and stuff. We got to put that to the test because yeah, it sounds good on paper, but we got to see what it happens in the wild.
Hmm. And I'm looking at this trigger. I don't think they're analog triggers. I think they're digital again.
Analog triggers, yeah,
I haven't looked into that.
yeah. Well, see,
But
all of
even
these
the
questions.
shoulder button is longer,
Yep.
which when you have it on the side, like in the trailer, you can see that there's a little button in the front,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably going to be like some type of sensor or touch sensor,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like for the scroll wheel.
Yep.
And then this button will be the left click, and then
Mm-hmm.
this button will be the right click.
Right.
So then you're holding it, and there's a base that goes through it, which is part of the arm strap,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be used to like, I mean, even when I put it the old Joy-Con on the side, it's standing up, it's stable. You can move that around. It's not as uncomfortable as you would think it is. But what I would do is I would immediately get a third party accessory and pop that boy in there
Yeah.
to where I'm having an actual mouse here,
Mm-hmm.
and the Joy-Con is just sliding in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna get the same feel, the scroll wheel, the click, the right click.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's another thing. They don't have a scroll wheel on that on the Joy-Con, do they?
No.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's speculated that if you look at the trailer, there's a little piece on the front of it
Mm-hmm.
when it's sitting on the side.
Okay.
And then also, it looks like there's sensors, AR sensors on the bottom of both.
Okay.
The old Switch only has it on the bottom of the right Joy-Con,
Now, what were those
which
used for on that console?
these were mainly used for games like Labo that was using a sensor,
Uh
like
huh.
motion sensors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they
Nobody,
really
but.
didn't implement it. A lot of the developers didn't really implement that feature.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if this is true that these Joy Cons has on both,
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo still plans to doing something with it. Now, if they're going to
Right.
do it, it's to be seen.
I'm gonna show you what that is. That's the gimmick, like the touchpad on the back of the PS Vita. It's a gimmick.
Mm. Yeah.
Case closed. We're gonna talk about
Yeah.
that too, because Shuhei Yoshida, if we have time, had the interview with kind of funny games. So
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. So Nintendo is known for putting gimmicks in each of their consoles. that's just what they do. Sometimes developers use them, sometimes they don't. I mean, even with the PS5 controller, we got the adaptive triggers, we got the updated
Mm-hmm.
rumble and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the only game that's using it is Astrobot.
And Returnal,
So yeah,
Astrobot and
Returnal.
Returnal. Them the only two games, and I would argue Returnal's that's one of the PS5's best, bro. Man, that game
I
fire,
mean,
and y'all
honestly,
sleeping on it, real.
honestly.
So
Uh, so yeah, I'm curious to see how durable those that little tab inside the railing is,
mm-hmm.
because that definitely is like something that will break before anything else, even the kickstand.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me touch on this Mario game real quick.
Yep.
Now, all right. So when we first saw this, my initial reaction is that this is Mario Kart 8. But then in the middle of it, I'm like, why would they show Mario Kart 8? I mean, it's the best selling game on the Switch, no question.
Mm-hmm.
But they're showing this game and immediately it looks the same.
But look, they going by. If it ain't broke, don't fix it though.
That's
Because
true.
I mean, what do they think? People, what do they think? You know, yeah. I mean, it's not like this is very common. It's very common in the gaming industry that they do stuff like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah,
The
it's just more of
diminishing
what we know.
returns is even known and seen with Nintendo, not just AAA and like Sony and Xbox. Like this is something
Because
across the board.
yeah, because what I'm essentially trying to say is like, think about Smash Brothers. Yeah, it's the same. It's just a couple new characters and a couple new levels and a couple new items to use on the field, but essentially it's the same thing. It's just rebranded and got a little refresh.
Which is
So
what people want at the
what?
end of
Yeah,
the day.
and that's what we wanted with the Switch. We wanted more of what we already have, except better. Just better, more powerful, more screen, more. I'm hoping that because it's bigger now, it's more comfortable. Because I will definitely say after touching the Steam Deck and all these other mobile handhelds, feeling that like touching that just feels like a joke. Like it's just not even like a toy, man. I feel
Man,
like
fit
every
your
time,
price.
bro, for real, like literally, when I hold the not Steam Deck, but the Switch, I feel like I'm gonna drop it. Like it's so small and slippery. It's like no real good ergonomics or no texture on the Joy Cons or anything. It just smooth
Yeah.
plastic.
It's very smooth. It's a glossy almost finish
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I'm
you
hoping
need
that
a
these.
case or like a satisfied grip or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
hoping that they fix that with it just being bigger now. Some of those things kind of get washed out, and you don't think about it anymore.
yeah. Uh, yeah, and going back to this Mario Kart, I immediately saw the stage and the environments, and I'm like, this is new. But then I'm like, well, I didn't play Mario Kart Tour that much. Maybe this is Mario Kart Tour brought to the Switch too. But again, why would that be? So without a doubt, this is a new Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
And as it's zooming out at the end of the trailer, you see it's being put in the dock, which I'm very curious as to if this is gonna output 1080p or if it's gonna output 4K.
Mm-hmm.
But it's showing on the brick screen, and the game zooms out, and maybe this is hopeful thinking, but the draw distance is very far. Like you can see very far out on this trailer. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is the power of the new system. But the thing that people was saying that would signify it as a new Mario Kart is DK.
Yeah, because of his
Now,
design.
out of all of this that's happening in this trailer, these dudes out here talking about DK, you could barely see him, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go back to the trailer and you look at this, he's way in the distance, way in the back. Most people be looking at Mario, be looking at the cart, be looking at like the resolution, the clarity of the image,
Mm-hmm.
and they looking at DK.
Yeah, that's kind of,
This dude, come on now.
yeah, Donkey
So that
Kong,
was
bruh.
interesting.
I didn't see on the trailer where they were seeing that there's up to 24 racers. What's up with that? Like there's
Yeah,
20.
it's such a short, brief moment, but right as the switch flipped over, and you could see the screen,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not realizing the bezels on these boys is smaller. No, they're bigger
Yeah.
than the OLED.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when that was the first thing that I noticed self-consciously is those bezels are thick, bruh. Those
At
bezels,
least on the sides.
at least on the sides. And you know what? Of course they're thick because they want to come out with an OLED version 3 years later. And they want to do stuff like thinner bezels, OLED screen, more internal storage, different dock. They want to do a refresh after 3 or 4 years, the same way that PS5 did with the PS5 Pro. Now, y'all
Absolutely.
can put in the chat if y'all got a PS5 Pro or not. But I ain't got no PS5 Pro, and I ain't getting one no time soon.
Man,
So if
I thought about it like this close. I thought about it and I was like, man, what am I thinking?
the one at the end of the day, because it's like games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the people were complaining about that, talking about it look like Vaseline and all that. But it's
Yep.
coming out on PC, and if you got a capable PC, that's your PS5 Pro right there. You can just do your anti-aliasing and do all of your motion blur and up the frames, and now it's better than it was on a PS5 base and practically the Pro, depending on what your
Exactly.
specs are. Because the PS5 Pro ain't got no 32 gigs of RAM. I mean, shoot, my PC got 32 gigs of RAM, so you know, even these
And that's
handhelds are coming out. The Legion Go S Windows variant got 32 gigs of RAM in it.
and that's
So
the thing. It's like even though these consoles have these specs, it's up to the developers to really utilize it.
right. And why would they
There's a lot
spend?
of processes and stuff that's going on in the background.
Hmm.
We'll never see it as a gamer, but
Right.
it's affecting the performance as we're playing.
Well, and think about it. Each one of those adaptive triggers and stuff in that DualSense is a patent that they need to pay for in order to use for development of the game. And
Mm,
nobody wants to go in there and pay extra money to get those resources activated on that game unnecessarily. That's why a lot of PS5 games ain't really using the adaptive triggers. And if they are, it's one segment in the game that they're doing it.
yep.
One segment in the game out of the
Most
20
likely it's in the
40
very
hour.
beginning.
Right. Out of the 40-hour campaign, you got one segment where you got resistive triggers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're putting all this stuff in here and then not even implementing it. So
Yeah, so looking at the lanes, you can count 24 racers right in the very beginning. And people pause it right here to just, find that out. So, I mean, that's cool. What I really want from this Switch is I want a better online integration.
it has to be better, bro. And
Do you remember? Do you remember when we tried booting up Smash Ultimate and
I
we tried
do.
getting on a match?
I do. And I remember trying to fiddle with the app and trying to get that going in conjunction with trying to get the game or something to play. It was a nightmare. I just remember as a nightmare. So we ended up trying to resort to Fortnite because, it had in game chat or something like that.
Yep, that's the first game we tried out with the chat.
Yep. And because we didn't have to use the app or something, that was very short lived.
Hmm.
But the point is, Nintendo, I believe, was trying to keep these online experiences and online capabilities behind um like a saving grace, like a scapegoat, same that they did with the Bluetooth. When interest started to go down, the
Hmm.
sales started to tank, the investors were like, what are y'all doing? Then they said, okay, all right, what's in the hat? We never did Bluetooth yet. We never did online voice chat. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's do Bluetooth first. Then they put out an update, Bluetooth. You know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all let us wait 5-something years? Bro, why y'all let us wait 5-6-something years for Bluetooth? Bro, are you kidding me right now? Come on, Nintendo. Don't do that again.
Man, I feel that, man. I have a feeling that it's a high chance that they will do it again. But maybe they're learning at the same time. Maybe they're seeing their mistakes. With Doug Bowser at the helm this time. Before it was Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got Doug. Maybe he's seeing what's truly profitable, what's truly gonna make money, what's truly gonna bring up positive um, customer base, and he's pivoting toward that.
Yeah.
Now, the wrinkle in that would be what's going on over in Japan. That's what's gonna throw a monkey wrench
Mm.
in the whole thing. But what we're seeing here is very promising.
Well, I can tell you right
So,
now, those features got to be ready right out the gate. The same way I ranted about the Legion Go having those updates right out the gate. I ain't talking
yep,
about no drivers from 2023, from 2024, and you got this device still struggling, and you got to go through the back end, back websites, Chinese websites to get um all the AMD driver stuff on there. So
yep, yep. So they're gonna have some hands-on events for the Switch 2. It's gonna be in Seattle, New York, and what's the other place?
um the only US ones was Seattle and New York, and the other ones were like in Europe and stuff. So those are the only
Or
ones in US.
Toronto. I think it was Toronto.
Toronto, yeah. Toronto, yep. Um, I felt like they should have did Chicago, bro. They should have did Chicago. Chi Town,
Yeah,
bro. That would have, or even Minnesota, that would have been fire. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Come to our neck of the woods for
I'm
once.
saying,
Like,
dog,
come on
come to the
now.
Midwest, y'all bugging. Real.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see. I mean, if anything, they'll have it at Best Buy.
Yeah, you just play with it at Best Buy. So,
Yeah, yeah. So that's our impressions of the Switch right now. Um, I do have some things that I did want to talk about further. They didn't have the C button on this trailer.
yep. And let me tell you why though. Okay, or you
You
want to
want
start
you
it
want to
off?
know why?
You want?
Oh, you know why?
I want to. Well, I got my own epiphany why, but
Okay,
let me tell you something. All right. You want to start this off, or you want me to get started?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, look. The way they revealed this Switch, literally shadow dropped this Switch, is a product of the internet. Why do I say that? Because even Nintendo knew, everybody and their dead grandma knew what the Switch looked like, what the capabilities of it were, everything. So there was nothing to get really excited about. That's why
Everything we've
everybody's
seen is true.
everything we've seen is true. That's why everybody's making videos like this was the most boring reveal ever. Well, why is that? Because we saw all of the snacks before we got to eat them.
Yep.
Period. We already knew what was out there. So, what was Nintendo going to do that was going to hype this up besides just showing us what we already know in one official video?
Yep.
They knew that this was going to be the case. And to be quite honest, it kind of reminds me of the PS Vita. It reminds me of how Sony said, because you guys are going on Henkaku and you're going on these websites and you're homebrewing it, we're not going to support it. And we're going to make y'all upset and suffer. And if y'all want to keep this thing alive, it's up to you because y'all are defiling my product. Y'all putting
hmm
Henkaku on it. Y'all putting micro SD cards in the game slot, getting extra storage, and doing all this other weird stuff. So you know what? It's in y'all hands now as a form of punishment. So I feel like in the same way, Nintendo said, well, I'm gonna give y'all the most basic old trailer because y'all done already exploited everything. And the one thing that we can't keep a secret is the C button. That's it. That's why they didn't officially show it, because they got to keep something in speculation leading up to April the 2nd. And right now, that's the only thing.
And the OS.
And the OS.
Because let me tell you, this OS is so clunky. They really shaved it down for the original Switch. We don't have any themes. We don't have any alternate colors. We had black and white for the last
Bro,
8 years. We had black and white on her Switch
And to that
OS.
point, to my point earlier, I believe the Bluetooth, the background changing, you
Yep.
know, all of that stuff was kept in the bag for if we ever start losing sales, we're gonna start implementing smaller drip feeding updates. And if we don't ever have to reveal them, we'll never have to reveal it. But in case we do, this is what we're gonna do to make people still have hype and appreciation for this console.
Let me ask you something. Each time Nintendo released a Switch update, what was in the patch notes?
I wasn't up on the patch notes. I ain't gonna hold you.
Stability improvements.
That's it.
It's got enough stability already. What you
I
releasing
mean,
stability
bro,
improvements for?
the stability improvements literally was on the most basic OS that you could have. This OS is like Walmart brand OS, bruh. You know what I'm saying? It's the great value of software engineering, bruh. There's nothing in it that's intricate. Period.
You can't even say Goodwill because you find good stuff in Goodwill.
Thank you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this. How many stability updates do you need for a basic OS? That OS is running off of what? 3 gigs of RAM? What the Switch got in it? 4 gigs of RAM?
4 gigs, bro.
Bro, that OS, what do you need stability on an OS that's running on 4 gigs of RAM? Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Yep.
Not having it.
And you would think that they would fix the eShop too. Just think about the eShop, how clunky it was going on there, and you can't even go to the search box and really type in what you looking for before you looking at nothing but orange and white.
The only stability update that Nintendo needed to do was when you're updating a game, have it update in the background, my guy.
Yes.
In the background. You mean to tell me that I can't get off of this screen to play my games because this is taking 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 3 hours to download an update?
Yep.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
I really need
8
them to
years.
fix that.
8 years, and I'm stuck on an installation screen before I could play Warframe or something.
Oh, by the way, you want to get on Warframe? How do I message you to let you know? Let's get on Warframe.
Might as well play something else.
You got the Nintendo app on your phone? Let me send you a message. Instead of calling you, instead of texting you, I gotta message you on the app. Hey, get on Warframe.
Bro, this is going to be an overly inflated Nintendo Direct because they're going to explain simple stuff like that should have been here already. So you know what? I'm anticipating that this is going to be a very boring Direct, just like it was a very boring reveal, because all of us are going to be like this. We should have had that. 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 Oh, finally, about time. And the only thing that we're going to be hyped about is the C button and the release date.
And they still going to be mad.
Exactly. That's the only thing we're going to be hyped about is the C button and the release date. And hopefully the price, because, I mean, there's got to be it's got to be $399, because I believe the OLED variant is going to be either $499 or $450. So they did $50 more for the OLED original. They might do $50 to $100 more for the OLED Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we know it's coming. It's not a secret. We know it's coming. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so man, we're gonna see with this Mario Kart what's going on with the screen and OS. That's to be determined at the Direct. And we got Xenoblade Chronicles X coming out. We got Metroid Prime 4 on the horizon. There's so much that we don't know still. None of these even though they're coming out in 2025, we don't even have dates,
Mm-hmm.
and we're already what? Well, we're not too far in, but come on now. If it's in 2025, you should know by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think they're saving it for something.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be these other handhelds that's around the corner, and that's coming out, that's making Nintendo like really calculate their steps and
Mm-hmm.
really figure out how to strike. But yeah, and the other thing, we don't know if this is Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart X.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's to be determined.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's Mario Kart X.
and I'll say this.
Cause yeah.
I don't think they're going to struggle to sell the console. The only thing they're going to struggle with is keeping it in stock, hopefully. But the problem that I'm afraid of is that most people are not going to upgrade this Switch who are not diehard gamers.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is the casual parent is not going to go all out of their way to provide this Switch to their children if they're already having fun with the Switch that they have. Now it's going
Yep.
to take the child themselves to say, "Mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, I need a new Switch." You know what I'm saying? It's going to have to take. I got you right here.
It's gonna have to take them to be like, Mommy, Mommy, can you give me the new Switch? Can you give me the new Switch? Mommy, Daddy, can you give me the Switch? All my friends at school got it. All my friends at school got it. I want it too.
That's what they're going to do, bro. You know, that's what they're going to do. And the parent is going to be like, "Well, don't you got the Switch you got? What about all them games I got you?" They're going to be like, you know, and that's the only way they're going to upgrade, bro. But if you're not like somebody like us who's dedicated,
You better have good
gamers,
grades.
exactly, better have good grades. But
You better not be on punishment.
exactly, because what they did was they already implanted multiple switches in people's households, and the parent isn't going to be like, "I'm not dishing out $400 four more times just for you to have the same games that you already can play on your device now." And you better look.
And
They
here's the
better
thing.
they better support them old switches, bro, because that's 150 million out there in the wild. If they don't support it, they're in
Bro,
trouble.
the problem with this is that the Switch 2 can play Switch games, but the Switch can't play Switch 2 games. So if you get one Switch 2 and everybody else got Switch 1s, all the kids going to be fighting over that Switch 2.
Well, and the other side of it is for developers. If they're developing a game for the Switch 2, does that mean that it can't run on the Switch 1? It's the Xbox and Xbox Series S situation.
All over again.
All
bro.
over. It's the same situation. So it's almost like they got to take studios and divide them for development just
Separate
for
them,
the original Switch on 4 gigs of RAM versus the Switch 2.
Which brings up the question, how much third-party support is really coming?
Bro, it has to be a lot, because if they have to show their Switch in January for all the third parties to show their games in April, I'm talking about I better see 45 games minimum on that direct.
Man.
That direct better be an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. An hour for showing us the console and the capabilities, and an hour for showing us game trailers.
It ain't going to be that long.
Come on, bro.
It's probably going to be 40 minutes max. 40-minute direct.
Bro, they can't skim through these features, though. Unless it's that bland. You feel me?
I mean, Nintendo got out of the power race a long time ago. I mean, we talking back in Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64 era, even Nintendo 64. They made a decision that was very detrimental to them. You know, they sticking to the cartridges instead of moving over to the optical disc. Even now, they're using cartridges. They have to use cartridges because it's in a handheld form.
Mm-hmm.
But look at, with the Wii U and everything, it was difficult to develop on. So these developers, they're hopping on the bandwagon now because we see what happens with the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
They hopped on strong for the launch with a lot of support because the Wii was successful.
Right.
So we're gonna see that again because the Switch was successful. A lot of the developers are jumping on the bandwagon.
Well, and that's the thing. Think about it. If you are a developer and you have $1 million budget for every game that you make, are you going to go to, well, most days nowadays $1 million budget for a game is trash. That's Pong. Nowadays it's
Man,
100 mil for a game. 500 mil for a game. But right now, let's just say you're a small developer. You got $1 million for a budget for a game. What you need to be thinking about is which console is going to be the cheapest for you to develop your game on. You know, and it's probably going to be the Switch with a budget like that because all the stuff with the adaptive triggers and the hype around Xbox, all that stuff is, bro. Nobody's playing Xbox. I got a message for Xbox later. But
all right.
bro, that's how developers are thinking. They're not going to spend extra money unnecessarily to develop their game just because the hype around the console. They're going to spend the least amount of money to develop a game to get it out for the easiest hardware to develop on. So, I mean, they got to come strong with the third party support because I'm worried that if they do not support that old Switch for at least another 3 years, that's $150 million. I mean, 150 million gamer database
Mm-hmm.
that you're leaving behind. And you don't even have your first million of the Switch out versus your first couple hundred games ready to go for the second Switch. So
Yep.
it's going to be a very terrible move if they do not support the old Switch, which, man,
That's a
these
slippery.
these
It's a
third parties, I promise you, these third parties have to develop their games to work on the old Switch as well as the Switch 2. They have
It's a
to
double-edged sword.
double-edged sword. Otherwise, your PS Vita and PS4 all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Your Xbox Series S and X all over again. And look at how Xbox is doing right now. Are they doing well? Are they thriving?
Man, I heard that they was considering the axing the Xbox back in 2021.
Thank you. Thank you. You know,
Imagine that.
my message for Xbox is this. I don't believe Xbox knows where to land. I think they took off the launch pad and they're in the air floating and they don't see any landing spot in sight. They're just making decisions without having any end goal. It's like
They don't see no grass. They
they don't
don't see
see
no
no.
water.
They just in the air, just flying. Talking about some. Okay, we're floating now. Where
and
we
they
go
made the
next?
air their abode.
Literally, like where they're like, where do we go next? Well, we got everything everywhere. We're still making consoles. We have Game Pass. We could try a handheld, but
We're in the
like
air.
where
We're above everybody else.
like
This is
yeah,
great.
y'all bought all these studios and ain't doing nothing with it. They're doing the classic Looney Tune approach. You know what that is?
What's that?
They're doing the if you can't beat them, join them. That's what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
I can't
making
beat
everything
Sony.
the Xbox.
Exactly. I can't beat Sony, so I'm just gonna
You're
put
an
my
Xbox,
games.
bro.
Exactly. I'm an Xbox. So they're doing the I can't beat Sony, so I'm gonna join Sony's platform by putting my games there. I can't beat Nintendo, so I'm gonna join Nintendo by putting Game Pass on the new Switch.
Oh, it's a high chance they're gonna do that.
Exactly. I can't. I can't see. This is the problem with the Xbox One. The problem with the Xbox One is that they tried to take over your living room. They decided, let me make a console that your cable box gets hooked up to, your sound bar gets hooked up to, your TV gets hooked up to, and it's your gaming box. That confused the market. That confused nobody knew what it was. Xbox One what? Oh, I'm the one thing that takes over everything in your living room. Well, how do I hook it up? Okay, you getting game notifications in the middle of Mission Impossible? Come on, bro.
Oh, and by the way, the camera that you set up is constantly watching.
Thank you. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. So that was the problem. They figured that if I can dominate the living room, I'm gonna dominate the market. Look at how well that turned out. See, you got to keep these things in its proper place. You got to keep the gaming entertainment system where the gaming entertainment system belongs. You know, they already tried to do that by fusing Blu-ray discs and DVDs. Okay, that worked back in 2002. 2025, that's not working no more, bro. That was the problem with the Xbox One, is they tried to be the one-all, be-all for everything. Look at how it worked out for the PS Vita. They tried to be the one-all, be-all for handhelds.
And the one that came up with that idea, where is he at?
Exactly. Where is he at?
Nowhere to be seen.
So going back to the Vita, anytime you try to be a one-all, be-all, it don't work. Shuhei Yoshida said in an interview that the PS Vita, as we know, had the capabilities to be put in a dock and blowed up on the screen. Hence, the PS Vita has a separate connection, peripheral, that was never used, that was probably for the dock. They decided to X that and make the PS Vita TV. And why would you do that? Okay? This came out with OLED. This came out with a touchscreen. This came out with a touchpad. This came out with can play your MP3s.
Came from the future, bro.
Bro, they tried to make this come from the future. They tried to make this have 3G with the OLED screen, with touchscreen on the front, touchscreen on the back, with the camera on the front, with an extra peripheral to dock to your TV. They tried to make this the end-all, be-all. And look at how it turned out. That never works. Man. They had physical and digital games for this. Come on, bro. That don't work, bro. That don't work.
So, and I love that with that, to where you can buy a game and you could download the digital version of that game.
Absolutely.
That's honestly, I want Nintendo to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and to be honest,
that would get a lot of people to accepting the digital side of things,
bro,
and vice versa.
That's why I'm waiting. That's why Shinizaki, is a 100% PC gamer. Because if it's coming out on PC, that means I can pull it on my Steam Deck, put it on my Legion Go, take it wherever I want. And guess what? If I want to put it on the TV, I put it in the JSOX dock. And I add a controller to it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just the best way to go.
That sounds like a Switch.
It's just a Switch. So that brings me to this point. Even though they did that with the PS3 and the PS Vita, where you could buy Trails of Cold Steel for the PS3 and you get a free copy for the PS Vita, same thing with the PS4. Some games, if they had a PS4 version, you automatically get the PS Vita version. We're kind of getting that now by Sony putting their IPs on PC. So when you get done getting all the platinums on them on PC, now you can go and get all the trophies or whatever you want on PC now. You know, on a PS5, as soon as you get all that. So it's like, even though they don't have a dedicated handheld, that brings me to the point of when Sony wants to make another handheld, I'm worried, bro. I'm worried. I'm worried. So I'm saying a whole lot. Let me not get off topic. So
yeah, we tapped into the Xbox a little bit. That's all right.
Yeah. You know, that's my message for Xbox is y'all got to find a landing pad. Y'all found the launch pad and y'all in mid-air, but y'all don't know where to land. You know what I mean?
Man,
y'all don't know where to land.
It's a long way down.
I tell you, they're gonna run out of fuel and end up crashing on ground. That's what they're gonna do. Because now
they got fuel, bro.
That's why they still flying. That's why they got Flight Simulator and that's it. Flight Simulator.
I guess that's the bottomless wallet.
Exactly. That's it. Flight Simulator. That's all they got.
Yeah.
So
they ain't got Halo. They ain't got Gears.
Nope.
A little bit of Forza, but. Yep. A closing thought that I want to bring out too is that it's been reported that Nate was not the only one or the first one to know about this trailer coming out. How you feel about that, Shinizaki?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is who was the first one? That's what I want to know.
I don't have the tweet currently. I seen it the other day. I should have saved it. But there was an individual that reported on the 12th? He said next week is the week. And then it was another tweet from Nintendo's where he hinted at the Switch being announced the day that Donkey Kong Country HD came out. And he said, will you be picking up the game on the 16th? And he spelled B with the two E's. And that's a reference back to the motherboard, where the chip in the motherboard was a B motherboard, like the BEE. So people that knew about that motherboard and the specs and the leaks that came out with that was like, oh wait, is he talking about the reveal for the Switch 2? Maybe this. So it's coming out the day of the release of Donkey Kong Country HD. So yeah, so these guys hinted at it. To me, that's kind of a stretch. Like, not many people may know about that, and maybe there was just a typo. Maybe click the E button twice too many times or whatever. But that was kind of a stretch. But that's what's going on right now. Going around talking about Nate. So,
well, I say we're most familiar with Nate here. You know, Nate probably may have put an exact date on it, but if he wasn't the first one to spill the beans, well, I mean, there you go. So,
yep. So we know a lot of people knew about it. They were just waiting for somebody like Nate to spill the beans.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we heard that too. Yeah, we heard that too. And that just made everything valid.
Yeah.
So
that's fine. Nate can take his flowers. So, because I
yeah.
tell you, if he was inaccurate, I would have left the country, bro.
Hey, don't hate on Nate.
Hey.
He got his sources. He got the plug.
Yep.
His father worked at Nintendo, something.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep an eye out on him, and let's look forward to this direct.
Yeah, we'll be streaming it live. We will definitely be streaming it live.
Yep.
So
we're gonna cut it here. Thank you guys for watching in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button. Let us know how you feel about the Switch, what's coming up, what you think is gonna happen. And let me just get my screen. Oh man, I clicked on something. I don't know what that was that I clicked on. But yeah, y'all, that's gonna do it.
yes, sir.
The first official episode of the Core X Replay Podcast. Shinizaki on deck with the DNA, the specs, the lowdown, and the reality of these consoles, these handhelds.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been real. Shinizaki, we're here on the Core X Replay Podcast. Yeah, we're just talking about the Switch, talking about what's going on with it, breaking down the video. We hope that y'all put in the comments what y'all think, what y'all speculating, what y'all looking forward to with the upcoming Direct, Nintendo Direct. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Support the channel, and we will catch y'all on the next one.
Yep. Again, I'm Z Saber at CoreX Replay. And remember, guys, cut the fat, shoot for the moon, and remember, we RGB.
Yes, sir. Let's go.